let's start off with SpaceX.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your thoughts on the SpaceX launch, Tesla robo taxi, and Tesla Optimus robot? So it was a big week last week for Tesla across the board, Elon Musk companies, and man, they have so much going on. Their robot, that was a very impressive display. 2 Chainz, we played that video on Instagram with 2 Chainz. And actually, let's play the video now. Actually, we have another video that kind of just goes over the robot in full detail. So if we could just play that video.
Yeah.
The Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit. So you can have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. But fundamentally, at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
All right, so that just gives some context to the robot situation, but there's a lot going on with Elon Musk's companies these days. So what's the deal with SpaceX and Tesla specifically?
I know over the past year I've been critical of Elon, but man, he had a hell of a week last week. I know Tesla stock fell, but I think he did a good job at the robo-taxi idea. I know that the director from iRobot is upset. You should have patented the IP and you should have rolled the shit out after iRobot. But I think he had a great week. The SpaceX launch was amazing. To be able to take the chopsticks and put the rocket back in frame, looked like some stuff James Cameron would do in Avatar 3. The robot at 30,000, I don't love, but if they drop the price and it gets to 15 or 20, not bad. And I've been incredibly critical of him, but over the past weekend, I got to get a kid credit, man. Like his engineering background, his level of ambition, his drive to see these projects through, I think is nothing short of amazing. So I have to give him full credit. I know the stock dropped. It's at 219 right now. If it falls to 212, I would love to pick some shares up there. I think the drop was unfair. I wasn't overwhelmed at the robo-taxi idea at first, but give it 3 or 4 years. I think it can pan out to be pretty profitable. So we'll have to give it time, though.
Yeah, this is a conversation I feel like we've had on here maybe a few months ago when I was talking about the innovation inside of Tesla. And the question kind of came up like, when will people feel like this is something that they absolutely need?
Yeah.
And so when I saw the robot, I was like, that's fly. That's really incredible. I mean, Optimus is just the voice recognition, the way it can engage. I'm like, this is incredible. But then you hear the price tag at 20,000. That makes it exclusive for only a certain population.
Yeah.
If, like you said, if they could bring the price down, it's dope. I think the technology is dope. The SpaceX launch was, I mean, that's incredible.
Phenomenal.
To have a rocket leave orbit and come back and land on its own. I mean, this is the 5th time they've tried it. It's the first time that it's worked. Space exploration obviously is something that we were educated on. Shout out to Aisha Bo about that. That was incredible. And the robo-taxi, it's that I can see. It's just the trust factor. Right? Yeah. People are so used to going into automobiles that have steering wheels and have pedals.
Yeah.
And so now imagine going into a vehicle that has neither. And so that control that you have to give up, that mentality of like, if something goes wrong, I could swerve out the way, I can press the brakes. That's kind of eliminated based on artificial intelligence and sensors, really. So I'm not sure about that just yet. Can I see a world where people will use it? I can. I just don't know if the trust factor will be there. But ultimately, when I watch all these things, outside of anything that he said from a political standpoint, if we're just talking the business, this is the living day Tony Stark.
I agree.
Like, this is Tony Stark in the flesh. If you've watched any of the Iron Man films, and you're talking about a CEO who's brash, who's arrogant, who has genius level ideas and innovation, this is it. This is just on the business level. He's doing it, right? And you start thinking, you start putting things together. You have the Neuralink piece, you have these robots, you have the satellites. They said Sam is the most dangerous. It's 1A and 1B.
He's the one.
He's the one. Yeah.
And from a business perspective, to bundle all of these launches together to have an amazing week in media. I know this stock got destroyed, but to put out these 3 products at this time, and dominate the news cycle is, I think, from a business standpoint, something you have to look to try and emulate. So he's done a great job there.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's definitely, not the most likable person, and I've been on record to say that, I don't agree with the vast majority of things that he says or does. But he's definitely a very intelligent person, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be a racist and still be intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's one of the great whites for sure.
The great whites.
For sure. So
for real.
Man, I don't know if he's racist or not, but I mean, it would lend to that by a lot of his actions and a lot of things that he says. You would make an assumption that you probably lends towards that side of the aisle. But nonetheless, he's a very intelligent person when it comes to this type of stuff. And he's the most powerful person in the world for a reason. He's the richest person in the world for a reason. You don't get that by accident. I mean, his father was rich. But it still takes a lot to become the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
So definitely impressive what he's been able to accomplish. These robots are going to be interesting. For sure. If you can get these for 20,000, 30,000, and I saw a Chinese company said they're going to start selling it for 15,000.
Right.
And that's actually even more durable. I've seen like you can push them, you can do everything with
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just going to be a race to see how cheap you can get and how better. So I mean, who knows? In a couple of years, they might have these things for $5,000, and it's
that would be crazy.
You're talking about a personal chef, a personal assistant, bartender. Variety of different things. I think that's something that is scary for sure, because whenever you have artificial intelligence, you're not 100% sure. This is all just a trial and error, right? We don't really know the long-term effects of it. We've seen movies, and movies I think are an indicator of what usually happens in the future, and that's pretty alarming because it looks just like iRobot. So. If iRobot's an indicator of what could potentially happen, we know how that played out. We know how the Terminator played out. We know how all these other movies played out. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that cinema lends a view into the future. This is why we're not really surprised about this, because we've already been prepped for it. Yeah. So that's pretty scary, right? If you have somebody babysitting your kids, and who knows, they might have a glitch, right? But
at least you're going to blame the abuse on the robot and not you.
Yeah, but before we turn it, in terms of the stock, why do you think the stock falls? Right? Are people not enthusiastic about it?
The stock fell because of the robo taxis.
People weren't impressed.
They weren't impressed with the robo taxis. Yeah,
right. And when you hype something up like this and the rollout isn't okay, the robo taxi job, great design. Even though he took it from iRobot, there were no partnerships announced.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a partnership with UAE, or at least low hanging fruit Uber or Waymo or Venmo, anybody. No partnerships announced.
Yeah.
So, I was it too aggressive of a sell off?
Yeah, that was my thing, right?
The 219.
Yeah. Was the disappointment in the robo taxi justifiable for that type of drop, or is it?
I don't think so.
Some of his other personal level, what he's been out here doing.
I'll play Elon's advocate for a moment and say, what if he's not racist? But he's aligning with someone who could perceive to be as his way in to then take over. I think Elon may be agnostic across the board. Now, of course, I know his dad was South African, apartheid. I get it. I think he's playing the part of whom he can attach himself to so he can be the better version of Dick Cheney.
Yeah, and then we also have to note that we were talking about Tesla earlier, but there has been a report that some of those robots was actually being remotely controlled by humans.
Oh,
So Bloomberg broke that story.
Hmm.
So
Imagine, fellas, you get caught cheating and your girl turn on the robot to beat your ass for you cheating in the house. It's crazy.
what was he last name?
With the DJI remote, boy, that's crazy. What?
so yeah. So
They hacked into the robot and controlled it?
no. What they're trying to say is that Tesla had people at Tesla's headquarters that was manually controlling the robots.
Oh, okay.
So
Can
when you
I
ask
tell
the
the
question,
order
they
great secret?
were telling it what to say.
I don't know exactly the details, but it might have been that, or it might have been movement. So, now it's like, is it as advanced as Elon is making it out to be? Pretty much they're trying to say like he cheated, right? Like
Pull the dupe on
it's
us.
not as impressive as it looks because they had somebody behind the scenes, like a puppet master. They had somebody behind the scenes, actually a human being, actually pulling triggers, answering questions, movement, stuff like that. So I don't know. This is alleged. This is what Bloomberg reported.
Yes.
Pretty reputable source. But Elon might have pulled a fast one.
Perhaps.
Interesting, given that he wants to be a puppet master in office.
Could you live with like affordable price? Let's say that this thing is down to 2,500. Would y'all have like a Optimus in your house?
The conspiracy theorist in me says no. The practical version of me would say yes.
What about
So, yeah.
I mean, gotta see how the first wave. You never want to. You don't get the. You don't.
Yeah. You don't get the first wave of the
A
product.
subject. You gotta.
And if you can never truly power it off, no. I hate that about iPhone. You can't truly shut off an iPhone, even when the battery's dead.
Yeah, gotta wait for version 3 at least.
Yeah.
But you would do it. If version 3, everything, this is like the Jetsons.
If he's not MAGA, what if you get a MAGA robot? Ooh, I'm in there bumping my Dr. Umar and they come and
Like,
smash my laptop.
He just stands like in the living room at night. Like, what does it do?
Hey, no.
Walks around the crib.
Tough. It's tough. But if it's efficient, Roomba, iRobot, y'all better start something. So, but here's a great secret. Most of the AI powered things, with the exception of Claude and ChatGPT, are human powered somewhere in India and China. Intuit got caught up in that scandal a couple years ago. Be mindful. So, is it AI or human powered?
Be leery.
Yeah.
And be wary.
Yes. And shout out to Kevin O'Leary.
Shout out to Solange. Seat at the table, classic.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.